Hi, everybody. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Thank you so much for joining us today, this June 3rd, 2025. I'm here as always every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Take your questions live about U.S. immigration law for general educational purposes only, not intended as individual legal guidance, because to guide you, we got to sit and talk and really get to know your case. But yeah, we've been doing it for years. We're coming and taking your questions, giving an idea of what's going on in this very confusing, constantly changing, ever changing world of U.S. immigration. If you want to contact us and have a private consultation, the best thing to do is to go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact. Fill in a couple of pieces of information there so we can follow up with you about what we think about starting, how consultation works, or some info, or just we don't do the case that you're asking for. So that's there. But in the meantime, if you're here, shoot your questions out about U.S. immigration. I'll do our best to give a breakdown of what's happening. A lot is changing, very kind of scary times, unfortunately. I hate to say that. But a lot of unknowns and all that. But we'll do our best to help you out. We're live on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and TikTok. And we're starting the show. So feel free to reach out as I settle in. I just got done with a bunch of consultations today. So I'm trying to get my head together myself from talking all day. And a lot of varying kind of cases, a lot of varying issues that are happening. Obviously, they're confidential. But if there are things pop up that relate to them, I'll try to get into it more so you all know. And just shoot out your questions. Latanya, thank you so much for joining. Sherry USA, thank you for joining as well. Feel free to shoot out what city and country you're from or in right now so you have an idea of how far stretched out it is, where people are contacting us on this show or watching. It's always good to see people from all over the place, especially when you're doing an immigration show. You really deal with every country of the world, every kind of person, every demographic. It's very personal. So thank you for joining on YouTube and on Instagram. Again, please shoot out your questions, and we'll talk about U.S. immigration law. So one does as 1 Don 520 Jamaican flag says, how long after you provide evidence you can get approved for I-485? Well, yeah, first of all, it depends on what kind of case you have. Some will take longer because the visa bulletin, for example, will be current than others. But the short answer is nothing. No, there's no time, not nothing. There's no timelines I can say. If you're doing adjustment of status for like a marriage to U.S. citizen case, 3 months, a year is average right now. Could be longer. But if, for example, you file based on the date of filing for a preference case, let's say I-130, it could still be years before you could get the decision on that. It really depends on how fast the officer is and the visa bulletin itself and a lot of other factors. So when it comes to timelines, there's no realistic ones. I had a client contact us today, and he said, oh, the I-485 timelines show 4 or 5 years for USCIS. That's a lot more than I thought. And I told him those are averages of like widely varying kinds of cases, so it has no bearing on reality. So checking USCIS.gov for actual timelines or your my.uscis.gov account for the estimate timelines is a complete waste of time. The only time potentially looking at the timeline matters on USCIS.gov is if you're going to file a complaint for delay. They base it on those numbers there, which are, again, I think almost intentionally, they make it longer than it needs to be, so it's harder for you to complain about the timelines. But that's as far as it goes when you're trying to estimate timelines based on what USCIS says. Other than the new Department of State website that was started that breaks down how long it takes to get an interview scheduled at U.S. embassies or the consulates. So far, some of the examples I've seen have been consistent with regards to like when your documents are qualified for consular processing, getting an immigrant visa, green card through based on an interview at the embassy. Those have been reliable for something reliable when it comes to timelines come from the government. Just kind of funny and sad to see like 4 years ago, 6 years ago during the Biden administration, they said in like a year from now, we're going to have it so most of the major USCIS cases will be done in 6 months or less, and none of that came true. Dwayne says 4 months, but no RFE for my adjustment of status. Yet this is a bad thing. No, why would you expect an RFE first of all? And 4 months is like two seconds in USCIS or immigration timeline. So it's not a bad thing. You don't want to get an RFE, so the fact that you want one is a bad thing. You just got to wait. That things take a while. The chosen one says N400 processing time says 3 months, but it's been 3 months and no interview schedule. Why? Because as I've been talking about, you might have just tuned in. The timelines have no accuracy. So it could be 2 years even. So there's no accuracy in any of these timelines. User 559 says, do you know anything about exchange student visa interview pause? How long it will take? This is something that just announced on a whim by the government. So there's no one knows. I don't think anybody knows. Scarlett asks, what U.S. the most you immigration lawyer around with cost of situation? I don't understand at all what you're saying, Scarlett. Please rephrase it. But if you're gonna ask about prices and stuff here, this is not the place to ask about prices. It's just general educational stuff about the law itself. Yalda, thanks for joining. User that sober guy says TikTok lawyer said she has a client who was denied a green card back in 2019 and just recently got NTA, the notice of appeal. This means go to immigration court. anything is possible. This administration, a bunch of wild stuff we've never seen before is happening. That's what makes it so scary. I was talking about at the start of the show. A lot of scary stuff's happening that we've never seen or expected, or changes in policy that are happening, and it's made it a lot of unknowns. We don't know what's going to do, what's going to happen. Nelly on YouTube asks, just apply for OPT. Will it take 90 days or will it take more time considering everything happening? OPT timelines are getting back to normal, but it was taking 6 months for a period of time there a year or two ago. So when it comes to timelines, there's a lot of questions we're having consistently right now. Is no one knows. Now I think they do premium processing for that, but the main thing is if you're a student visa holder, your student status, you want to file for OPT as soon as possible. You can do it up to 60 days before you graduate. Do file for it on the 58th day before graduation, because that's gonna be really important, getting it faster so you know what you're doing, get your work started. But that's that. Nate says, hey, sir, I had a CIMT, a crime of moral turpitude, complete, dismissed, withdrawn, and sealed. I applied for M400. Should I worry? Withdrawing and sealing stuff for USCIS, it doesn't apply. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what the charges were or anything, so I can't tell you whether to worry or not because I haven't read the record. But you need to have an original certified copy of it. The withdrawn and sealed part doesn't necessarily matter, but you need a dismissal order. I'm breaking it down, maybe in the police report. Potentially, I don't know what is good or bad. I don't know. I haven't read it, so I can't give you advice on that. Domain says, does the EB3 other worker receive additional unused visa from the annual visa spillover from family visa category? I don't really keep track of how that all works. You just kind of every month we see what's happening. But with regard to spillover of visas here and there, it's this system that they don't really tell us what's going on. User 49 asks, can you please tell me which year paper are they working with brother and sister sponsor? Go to the visa bulletin. It varies depending on what country you're from. So if you want to answer that, instead of asking me, just go to visa bulletin on Google. The first link that usually comes up from the Department of State. Every month they update this list. Right now we're on June 2025. A brother and sister sponsored visa is the F4 category preference. You go to the first chart that comes up, and F4 right now they're giving immigrant visas for cases filed in January 1st, 2008. But if from India is June 15, 2006. If the person was born and chargeable to Mexico is March 15, 2001. 24 years. And Philippines is June 1st, 2005. State of chargeability from these countries. That's a whole technical term. Potentially get out of that box for these countries. But we really got to sit and talk. That's that. Midnight says, please answer me. How did you pass your LSAT test? I'm having a hard time. Well, it's not passing this, so it's just getting a better grade, and you study and work on it. I had a course I took where they trained you on these tests to do it. But for me, it was like 15 years ago or something like that, or maybe longer. Can't remember, 2005 or something, 20 years ago. So I don't know. They probably changed the stuff by now. I don't know. But just got to study, take the courses and all that. Camille asked, USCIS called my lawyer today saying I need to go to the office again to re-sign the I-485. Is that normal? It's not normal. But so much nowadays isn't normal. So but no, it's not. They don't historically do that. But USCIS is doing a lot of stuff we've never seen before. So I can't say like they're wrong or it's not truthful. Nate, I respond to your question. Mariam says, N400 live agent officer may have recommended after interview but stuck on decision. That's this way it works. You never know until it's done. Mona says, what happens if you haven't scheduled an interview for I-485 but have a DUI case pending? That's going to be a major issue. They could deny potential on that. You need to have the record, explain it, try to finish the case as soon as possible, may get a continuation. But you need to show, good stuff about yourself. It was an error. If it was true that this happened, and it's going to go up to officer discretion, unfortunately. Bad timing on that one. GW says, what is the estimated wait time to receive a U visa if applying this year? I heard 10, 20 years. I can't really say. It's just we have to wait. Francis says, my brother's spouse no longer wants to give in her I-864, but my mother-in-law wants to use hers. Well, whoever the petitioner is needs to use it, and if they don't have money, to get another joint sponsor. The Chosen asked, my brother is asking, is this safe to apply for M400? 2 speeding tickets, no arrests remain. I can't give individual legal guidance because I don't know the speeding tickets, and it's up to the government. Probably it doesn't matter, but I can't. It's individual legal guidance, so I can't do that here. But probably doesn't matter. But that's not. That sober guy says we're in the same boat. Was hoping to stay low till 10 years to qualify for COR if put in removal. Cancellation or removal. Yeah, that's probably. I don't know. I don't do court cases, but that's that. Francis says, what's next? Schedule private consultation to see what's going on. If anyone does want to schedule a private consultation, just best go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact. Fill in that box to schedule a private meeting. Can't give guidance here, so we got to sit and talk in private. Vic asks, am I eligible to apply for a green card if I was married to a U.S. citizen for less than a year? If there's abuse by that spouse, or while you're married, the spouse died, or you're still married, living together, they petition for you, then yeah. But if you're just married, divorced by itself, that doesn't give you anything. Yeah, I'll ask. I'm on a TN visa, working in the U.S. That's a special Canadian work visa. Canadians and Mexicans in certain job categories can quickly get a visa to work in the U.S. I applied for EB1 while my spouse still lives in Canada, waiting for a TD visa. Should I apply through consulate, or can I apply from inside USA? Well, if you're inside the US, EB1, I-140, yeah, that gets kind of technical, highly technical for a conversation. You have something better schedule a private consultation, because you can't come in the U.S. with the intent to file for adjustment of status. But if you EB1 is just a general name, do you mean I-140 or adjustment of status I-485? And if your spouse comes with the intent to stay here, that could be, they could deny the case, it might be misrep. So it gets highly technical. So this is something that's best to talk in private. Molly asks, my fiance and I are trying to figure out a way to see what the I-129 is going to help us, because it's kind of like what's the other steps with the need to do with USCIS. So if you're talking about a marriage green card case, go to we have a special guide called the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide, 50 plus pages about that. Go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com to get that, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. I don't go into the K3 I-129F. I think that's what you're maybe saying. In the guide, I probably should add that. I have videos on YouTube about it, but if you're going for strategy, it's just best to schedule a private consultation. Go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact, fill in the box there after reviewing the guide, and we'll schedule private time. Fees do apply, but I will fill you in there. Just didn't talk about it. Spent 30, 40 minutes just really analyzing it. Roswell says, I'm waiting for my fiance NBC number. The application was approved February 2025. Yeah, some embassies take much longer, unfortunately. Silent Tier says, please, NBC processing time. Go to DOS IV tools, the Asylum Tiers, Department of State, start a website, and you put in what embassy you're going to, and it'll say right when they're scheduling interviews for that embassy based on the documentary qualifying date. So your answer is there, but I don't know what embassy you're in and when you submit it. So it's not like it's say 3 months. Every embassy is different. Every case is different. You might have a visa bulletin backlog for your case. So there's like 4 or 5 pieces of information I need to know. It's like a 5-minute conversation at the very least to be able to answer that properly. Mona says, what happens if you answer your question, Mona? Should I do anything? Russell says, I don't know. I can't give you individual guidance. Please schedule a private consultation. Carrie says, can my company apply? I don't know. I don't know anything about you and your company. Francis says, my brother's spouse no longer wants to give me. So Francis, you got to get another joint sponsor or something. That's as much I tell you there. But if you want to schedule a private consultation, we get more details. Betty says, insurance fraud felony 20 years ago is reduced to misdemeanor, then expunged, apply for citizenship. You need to consult with a criminal immigration attorney in private. That's not something. That's a pretty serious offense, even if it was a bit down. If fraud is fraud. That's a major issue, even if it's a misdemeanor. Oriel asks, I-485 approved on May 29th of this year. Already received a notice of approval. Am I considered LPR? Or do I have to wait until I receive the green card? Sorry for the silly. It's not a silly question. Technically, yeah, you are a green card holder, if they say I-485 is approved, but you need to have the green card in hand. And sometimes the approval date on the notice will be different from the green card, which is annoying, especially if you got a 2-year conditional green card, because you're like, what's the start date officially for that? It's not a bad question. It's just, but I mean, you're probably good, but you want to get the green card in hand. Miriam says, decision 2 months to 3 weeks. Is it a good sign? I don't know. I don't know your case. So these not a sign of anything. These timelines aren't a sign of anything. Kali says, is it safe to apply for M400 with a 10-year green card after divorce? It depends on the facts of your background. Was the divorce marriage legitimate when the divorce happened? How'd you get your green card? Any criminal history? Is it safe to get in a car and drive? Yeah, generally, but then you don't add the part that, I had like a gallon of alcohol. Well, no, it's not safe. So I don't think you had a gallon of alcohol doing anything crazy, but that's just not enough information for me to recommend anything. So that's why you have private consultation where we talk about your life and get into it. Silent Tears keeps asking the same question of processing times. I did a full answer for that. Go check online, DOS IV tool website. They'll have your answer. Russell says, I'm still waiting for my fiance visa number. Should I do anything? Typically, no. I don't know if you should, because I don't know what's going on in your case. Because clients, people contact us all the time, and they ask a question. They say, this is my case. Then we start talking about it. I realize they're completely wrong, and there's something other problem that's happening. So should you do anything? I can't recommend that until I review your case myself, schedule consultation time, and we do for that. We talk about it then. Sasha says, what about if you've been on parole for 20 years? Now all of your family is American. I'm not sure what you mean by parole, like parole in the United States or parole, like criminal parole. And like what status? Just there's so much going on, Sasha. There's not enough info there for me to answer that. Sonia says, good evening. If I answer one question incorrectly on I-485, how can I correct it? Well, it depends on what the question is, but you can always write a letter to them and make a correction there. And then at the interview, do it too. But you can write a letter to USCIS. Josh says, when you come in the U.S. with a DS-260 visa, how long will it take to get a green card? How long does it take to apply for citizenship? Lastly, is it advisable to travel out of the U.S. within 1 year? So how long will it take to get a green card? Historically, it's 2 or 3 weeks, but I've seen people take 8 or 9 months, or sometimes it gets lost. So it is no real good answer. How long to apply for citizenship? If you satisfy all the requirements, at least 4 years and 9 months. If you're married and living with a U.S. citizen, 2 years and 9 months, or 90 days for 3 years and 9 days for 5 years. And is it advisable to travel within 1 year? It doesn't. There's no. If you have a clean background, everything is good, then it doesn't matter. You could turn around immediately and travel. But I don't know your personal background, so I can't say in either way for you. Okay, we got a lot of repeat questions coming. Let's go through these repeats. Sherry asks, I have a green card. I want to leave the country for 6+ months. Which visa do I need? You need to get a re-entry permit from I-131. There's requirements we'd have to go over for I recommend something like, are you filing your taxes? Are you filing as a resident or non-resident? Have you ever claimed to be non-resident? How many absences have you had in the past? I have a whole video I did on re-entry permits. Go to our YouTube page, Sherry. It's re-entry permit, top 3 things you need to know, or something like that. I just posted it. So it's got a lot of information there. But that's, you should get into talk with a lawyer in private. You're welcome, Josh. Okay. Harry Roberts says, I'm on H-1B and just got married U.S. citizen. Congrats. So I need to just apply for I-130 I-485. Well, Harry Roberts, download our guide, the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. Go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com. But I primarily would recommend just scheduling a private consultation after reviewing the free guide that goes through everything, to just double check stuff to see if there's any red flags that pop out there and issues they could have and stuff. Because people, even the easy stuff is deceptive. So and then if you want to hire us or not, that's then. But like, I always talk with the lawyer. General says, what's marriage green card interview like now? I did a detailed video on YouTube on this, General, just from an interview I had like 2 weeks ago. So very fresh one. Goes over the top things that were different than they were before on YouTube. It's like a 20-minute video or 10, 15-minute video. So go check that out. But they're asking, it varies. Some officers may still be like the past where they just don't ask anything, they prove it. But they're going to ask a lot of questions about your marriage history, your personal history, your background, what you've been doing, and also, what's your social media posts. There's all this kind of stuff. So a lot more questions. Fina says, mom's green card holder, and sometimes they're picking people up at the interview. So that's the scariest part. Fina says, mom's green card holder, apply for range permit, get approved, never got the booklet. Can she still come? She should have got the booklet. We got to see what's going on and how to explain that to CBP. Because if she's had absences, there's going to be problems. User 49 says, will it be a problem if someone sponsors you and you come to New York and overstay visiting visa? The sponsorship for visas really doesn't matter unless you're doing an immigrant visa or it's a work kind of green card or work visa. Patels, for a tourist visa, the sponsorships I can't guarantee it, but almost never is that something that's kept in the record. Patel says, hello, sir. I have an F3. Oh, yeah, Patel, every week we're asking questions. I think it's the same question as always. You're asking how long it's going to take. And that same answer, Patel, I have no answer. So, Patel, save yourself the trouble. Just expect Attorney Coach Robbie's going to say, no idea. User 49 says, will it be a problem? I answer that question. Abigail says, where are you located? I'm in Los Angeles, California, but our location doesn't matter for 9 out of 10 cases that we handle because everything's not online and that kind of thing. So our location doesn't matter. We handle that type of case we do all over the country, all over the world. If you want to start, go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact. Fill in the boxes there. You can do it. And we have we're updating our website, so it lists the kind of cases we handle, so ahead of time. Like there's nothing about asylum on our website. We don't do asylum. Lozal says, about to start citizenship. My darling spouse, 19 years, passed away. Should I continue? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry for your loss. Should you continue or not? That's a personal decision, and I don't know if that's your background to say. T-Pain says, do you do I-601 waivers? We started redoing them, so yes, contact our office, schedule a consultation with my senior associate, Anya. You can have a consultation session about the 601 waiver to see what needs to be waived, and then also what the exceptional hardship is, who the qualifying relative is, do the analysis. Loza Lua answered your question. Harry Roberts answered your question. Good evening. Bazuka says, good evening. How long is it taking for a consular interview to be scheduled? Well, it depends on your kind of case and which embassy you're dealing with. So go to the Department of State's website, IV tools, and you put it in there. Sasha says, can I call you instead? Do you have a free consultation? No free consultations, and you can't call. So if you call our office, it's just going to say, essentially, I'm going to email you and say, schedule a private consultation. So better to go to the website, fill in the box, and respond. But we don't take phone calls from non-existing clients or outside of consultation. Lawyer phone calls. Abigail says, can the I-130 help with what's going on if someone needs to go to court? Yes, and it depends on what kind of I-130 is and what's going on. There's just, it's maybe, but there's so much more going on. ISA says, ICE still arrested people in court? Yes. Can asylee be detained by ICE? Anyone can be detained by ICE, essentially, so it's possible. Bitter says, will I get detained by ICE on my next check-in if I have CAT pending U visa? So they're not honoring U visa protections. If you have CAT, probably not, but they're kind of making things up. They're changing all the rules right now, unfortunately, Bitter. So I don't really handle ICE-related cases, but right now from what we're seeing is they're re-envisioning all the policies, so unfortunately anything's possible. Fabian says, will an expired passport for a minor affect their green card application? You're not supposed to have an expired passport if you're in the United States. I've never seen them really enforce that, but just renew as soon as possible, at the very least. Beek says, I got my work permit. How long does it take to get a social security number? Go to social security office and ask for it. Abudila says, my U.S. citizen husband applied for I-130 for me. I'm in DACA, Texas. Should I be concerned about work permit? I don't know if you'd be concerned about work permit. You got to see what's going on with your case. Abudila. You got to see why you didn't file for adjustment of status, how your entry was, DACA AP. Abdulia, definitely download our Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. Go to our website, marriageimmigrationlaw.com, and download that. Let's schedule a private consultation. It seems like what you're asking, there's a lot more going on that we need to discuss. Harry follows up, sir. Hi, thank you, sir. Can my worker permit apply for H-1B renewal whilst I apply for I-35? Can you work apply? So can you renew it while you have adjustment of status pending? For H-1Bs, yes. Sometimes government mistakenly says no, but H-1B has a special immigrant dual intent thing, so you could renew an H-1B even if you have adjustment of status pending. Daniel says, should I worry to go to court for New York asylum seekers? I don't want to worry people, so I don't know. I don't do asylum or court hearings, but there's some bad stuff happening. But I don't know your case, so I don't want to come in and say something like that. Boomy asks, my husband have by mistake green card coming 10 years. He applied for a citizen. He have problem because right now we are divorced. I don't know, Boomy. I got to sit and talk with your husband or whoever it is. There's a lot going on there. Okay, what's going on my YouTube page? It pops around us. What's going on? You're welcome, Brazuka. Shinna says, is USCIS waiving I-751 joint filing? They're not waiving joint filing. If you have a waiver case, you request waiver. Or Da says, can a misdemeanor battery be a reason for your visa or denial for U visa? Yeah, it can. Assault with maybe. I got to see what the charges are. We got to see the statute and the facts. So it's just saying misdemeanor battery doesn't help. We got to study the actual situation. Thank you. You're welcome, Bittermelon. Or does we answered that? Okay, we got only a couple more minutes left. I started the show late, so I'll save the extra 3 minutes. But let's go. Kat says, hi, USCIS refused to give me a yes or no for request to expedite K1 due to human reasons. Any advice? No, I mean, unfortunately, it's hard to expedite. Ordon's asked to answer that question. Khan asks, I applied for travel documents based on asylum. It's been a year. I haven't got that. How long will it take? The timelines vary. I don't have an answer for that. Abigail says, my son is in the Army. Will that help at all for his wife's application? It can, but it depends on if she's here in the U.S. or not, if she has any permanent bars or not, or other like issues. So we got to analyze to see what's going on and what kind of case it is, and because there's different aspects, different procedures for different things. So Abigail, please ask him to contact my office for a consultation. And Shinda keeps asking, is USCIS waiving interviews for I-751 joint filing? Oh, so that's kind of a different question, but it reworded. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. So it just depends. Abdullah says, I'm asking since Texas, they are taking away work permit for DACA recipients. Yeah, Texas has some sort of different laws for DACA. I'm not sure what's going on. And so I don't know. I don't know. So did you enter lawfully or not? Maybe you do adjustment of status. If not, you should have done DACA AP to fix that. It may be too late now. Maybe if you move, I don't know. So we got to see what's going on. User 102 says, where are you based? I'm headquartered in Los Angeles, but we handle cases from anywhere in the country and the world. So our location doesn't matter 99% of the time. Constance, is reentry permit still guaranteed with asylum travel docs? It's never been guaranteed. Reentry is never guaranteed. It's always up to discretion at the end of the day. Almost every immigration benefit is not guaranteed. And I sent an invite to someone by accident. Sorry about that. But almost every immigration benefit is not guaranteed. It's always discretionary. Immigration law is a benefit. It's not a right. Sal says, hey, if I apply for I-485 before my visa expires by 4 days, when should it be counted on day of submission or day of receiving the receipt? Kind of explain. So your case is submitted on the day the government gets it, and that's going to be the receipt date. And so that's that. So, that's that. All right, everybody, we're about to wrap up soon. If you get a couple more questions in, feel free to shoot it out at us. We'll be back again next Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific. It's best to follow us on YouTube if you want to get your questions in, because it's much easier tracking it there than on TikTok. And follow us on YouTube, because you'll get notifications when I have time. I try to pop up more than just the weekly one, so I try to come in more regularly sometimes, and you'll get better notifications if you're following us. Again, I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. We love helping married couples, entrepreneurs start businesses in the United States or create subsidiaries of their companies in the U.S. So people with extraordinary ability, EB1A, NIW. These are people who are really top their field or close to it, and they're going to get green cards. That's what our office focuses on, and we're happy to help you. Best way to start is to go to our website, jqqlaw.com. Fill in the info about your name, contact info, and a brief description of your case, and we'll reply. Let you know if you handle the case or not, and how a consultation works, or how the next steps are. And again, we love helping people. I do this live show. Got my guide, Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide, marriageandimmigrationlaw.com. And if you guys really want to learn about immigration law, follow us on my second company called the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox, which is for other immigration lawyers. But if you're really interested, you can follow us up there. Hundreds of hours of interviews and content, and magazine I publish, trade magazine, courses, all that kind of stuff. The courses are for immigration lawyers only, or lawyers only, but that can be helped. V. Macy says, hi, John. Good to see you. Good to see you. I'm on an F1 visa. I was wondering if I can still travel around the USA. Yeah, if you have valid status, you should be able to. Who knows? Trump's America, but technically that's possible. User 19 says, how long for USCIS to send notice of receipt for adjustment status for EB2NIW? I sent it yesterday, a week or two. Okay, so I'll take one more question and we'll call it a day. Anyone else have anything else? So going once, going twice, and that's it. Thank you everyone for joining us. So we'll be back again next week. We got two questions last second. One is about special SIGs, special immigrant juveniles, which I don't do, so I don't want to talk about that. And the second is on SIGs as well. And so we don't do SIGs cases, so I can't answer that. Any updates on F4 category? No. We got a bunch of questions, but just check the visa bulletin, Rick, for F4 category. That's the best updates right there. Until next one, be safe, everybody. I'm Immigration Lawyer John Khosravi. Bye-bye.